Hello, and welcome back to the Contract Podcast, the deals we make and those that break. This is one of your co hosts, Amber Simpson, and I am delighted to be with you for a special edition of the Contract Podcast where we have a special guest with us, Mr. Kenneth Simpson. He is the Branch and Service and Support Manager for Crescent Parts and Equipment. This is a family owned organization, now in third generation ownership, founded in 1944. They are a wholesale distributor, and their headquarters is located in St. Louis, Missouri. It's great to have Kenneth with us today because as we have been talking for the past few episodes on how one might assess fit, is this role, is this organization right for me? Then we talked a little bit about I've made this choice and I'm realizing maybe there is a little bit of a misalignment and perhaps I need to exit. And how do I do so with grace, with professionalism? Well, having Kenneth with us, we'll have the leader lens. We'll understand from his perspective how employers assess fit, support new hires, and handle graceful exits. So, Kenneth, welcome to the Contract Podcast.
Thank you for having me, Amber. It's so good to be here. Thank you.
Well, before we dive in, tell our listeners a little bit about what your role is. What is a branch and service and support manager? What does that look like day to day? And how would you describe Crescent's culture distinct from places you've been in the past or maybe other organizations that you observed?
So, like you said, I am the branch and service and support manager for Crescent Parts. I've been with the company for nearly 23 years. I actually started in the industry prior at a smaller family-owned organization who I worked for about 7 years, so over 30 years in the industry, right? So I do know that what we do in my field is we're a business-to-business organization, so it's all about building relationships with our clientele, making sure that we are partnering with them, allowing the opportunity for their businesses to grow. So what I do is not only do I run the branch, but being the service and support manager, I'm the leader of certain folks in the organization that do job bidding and technical walkthroughs, the field service calls. So they are helping our clients be successful in the industry for their customers.
Okay. So in that B2B space, relationships, and you mentioned this term a
Most
few
important.
times, yeah, most important to you. So that's key to the culture of Crescent. So thinking about hiring someone,
Okay.
and we're going to get into how do you assess fit. What does that mean to you? What does that fit mean for you as you're like beyond the resume per se, but as you're talking with and maybe having those initial conversations during an interview process with a potential candidate for Crescent?
So just to be clear, our interviewing process isn't really just like a one layered process, right? It's multi-tiered. We try to field the beginnings with a call that comes through with our HR department.
Hmm.
They'll field certain calls, and if we get any applicants that kind of pass that test, if you will, then we'll research and they'll possibly do some type of evaluation. And once they pass that evaluation, we'll do a one-on-one greet. I'll have them tour the branch to get a real good sense of if they're a good fit for the culture, but not only that, right? If they feel that they can partner with us. So it's very important that like you say, fit is paramount because we are hoping to build loyalty with our customers. So we want to make sure that that person that we onboard, that we bring on board, are they're able to um, make sure that they're maintaining the loyalty that we have for our customers, but
Hmm.
they can bring on new customers and
Hmm.
and we can harness and help them grow. So we want to make sure that our employees are empowered when they are well established. So how do we get there,
Okay, so that's a lot of high touch, some
right?
personality traits
Absolutely.
that you're looking for, that willingness to learn that teamwork. I'm picking up on teamwork being really important.
It's very collaborative.
You know,
Yes.
in fact, when I was doing a little bit of research on Crescent and trying to delve into what are the core values that you outline, I found that these include integrity, hard work, and going the extra mile. And you talked a little bit about this multi tiered process that you have with the hiring or interviewing process, if you will. How do you continue to assess those elements of fit with this new person after you've made the decision, okay, we're going to bring them on,
Sure.
and you're in that kind of the initial period, that there's 30, 60, 90 days?
Right. So, I mean, we start out with a 90-day onboarding process, and it lays out the core or basic SOPs, if you will, to get a person up to speed, at least to the point where they're able to operationally work within the company, right? But what does that look like beyond that, beyond those 90 days, as you say? Knowing well into my 23 years working with a couple of the other managers at the time, we felt it was essential, especially from our operational side, to get a person up to speed as quickly as possible. We often say it takes about 2 or 3 years to really get someone to a very proficient level,
Okay.
and especially on our operational side of our industry. So how do we get them there as quickly and as efficiently as possible? So a few of us got together and we created what we would consider a Crescent Core. So basically like a Crescent 101, and it just lays it out, like timelines it out. These are the things that a person needs to know to get there. And I mean, it includes soft skills, hard skills, things that they need to do, technical wise, and if they are lacking anywhere, we make sure that as a manager that, hey, this person needs this particular skill set. So how do we get them there? I will partner with HR. I'll partner with our operations training manager, and we will seek out those training courses or classes that hiree, that team member needs to take to get up to speed.
I love that concept that you have put together, not only with yourself, but with the other leadership members, to document the what's, if you will, the 101, you called it,
Right.
the Crescent Core. But also, it seems that you are also allowing them a little bit of time, that grace to grow into those shoes.
Sure.
And to bring some of their personality. This goes to some research that I came across with Bamboo HR. I love following them. And their research shows that 70% of new hires decide if a new job is right within the first month. But alarmingly, it pointed out that over half, 65%, of employees report that their top frustrations during onboarding include a lack of clarity around who can answer their questions. So you are already trying to assess that with
Sure.
that onboarding, technical manager, right? Inadequate training. Well, you have a manual, you have other stopgaps in place, or even unclear expectations. But Kenneth, it's not always just the technical. And I think you mentioned that in your industry, you recognize that this is something that takes a little bit of time.
Sure, absolutely.
It's the fit. So going back to that culture clash, if you will, or misalignment, how do you assess whether it's just taking a little bit of time for them to click from that technical operational perspective, or it's really not a fit from a cultural alignment perspective?
So it's one thing being a branch manager to know that you, and I take this job very seriously, you have to be the biggest advocate for your direct report. You have to be present, making sure that you're communicating with that person, with that direct report, and making sure that they have the tools that they need to be successful. Yes, Crescent Core helps, the onboarding process helps, but you have to make sure that you are aware of your person's talents. Everyone learns at a different capacity, right? And they have a different skill set. And
different styles.
it's different styles of learning. So it's our job to kind of know what those styles are, and how do we navigate that? How do we give that person the tools? If they're a visual learner, give them those tools that he or she needs to be successful, right? So it's our job as managers to advocate, to be that person, to make sure that their professional development is reaching their potential.
I love that you mentioned that putting the responsibility and the accountability first on the leadership.
Sure.
Setting the stage. It kind of goes to there's a lot of research that talks about what makes effective orientation and onboarding processes. And there's a framework I love. It's the 4 C's. It's compliance, clarification, culture, and connection. And that connection really, how does leadership ensure that this new person feels that they belong, that they fit, that they are welcome
Absolutely.
into
I
into
totally
this
agree.
place, right? And it sounds that, like you said, you take your job very seriously. So it's fair to say that, from your perspective, leaders are first in setting the stage and making sure that there is this path to
So
fit.
it's funny you say that. That's one of our core values is lead by example, right?
Mm,
So lead by example. We're working as a team. We're collaborative, right? We have to know ourselves. We have to know each other.
hmm
There's one thing that I do. I teach when we are having our operations meeting, and it's an acronym that I actually came up with.
Okay.
I'm just going to give it to you real quick. And I won't like go into too much detail, but I mean it's called here at Crescent. And at the branch that I work at, we wear our capes. And what does that mean? Well, we excel at customer management. That's the C part. The A is atmosphere. You have to make sure that you are setting the stage in the branches when you're on the phone, when you're talking to the owners of companies. Um, the P is the product, right? I won't go too detail, but you have to make sure you have proper inventory management and all that stuff, right? Um, the E is each other. It's the
Mm,
collaborative part of it.
okay.
Is you have to make sure that you are paying attention to each other. You're investing in each other. We're working as a team. And the S is showroom, making sure that everything is clean. Safety is paramount. That part of it. So we wear our capes at Crescent, right? Um, and you mentioned, leading by example is we're investing in our team. If you invest in your team, they're going to work hard for you. They're going to work hard for their customers. They're going to take things to the next level. And that's what you and it's an extension of how you lead, right?
hmm
So I very much, hold true to that credo.
I'm very much aligned with that philosophy. Being a leader focused on organizational effectiveness, leadership development, everything that you said is spot on. But let's be honest, Kenneth.
Hmm.
Sometimes you can give your all, right?
Certainly.
You can lead the horse to water, but you can't make them drink. As the saying goes, you set the stage. You try to have the right support structures in place, but it doesn't always work out.
It doesn't.
How do you uh, handle that? Particularly, step us through some of the things that you do personally when you're starting to see that, in spite of all of the supports that you're putting out, it's not quite working out. How do you handle that?
So as a leader, I want to make sure that I am communicating with my direct reports. That's paramount.
hmm
Um, I always say that there should be no surprises in any type of meeting, especially if there has to be some type of course alignment, if there has to be some type of uh, steps, measures in play for that person to course correct.
hmm
So we are making sure that that person it has the tools, like I've said before, but if they are not meeting up to those expectations, then you have to have those difficult conversations. That's
hmm
when you document, right?
Yep,
You're
absolutely.
getting HR involved
Yeah.
and saying, these are the steps that I have taken as a leader, and these are the steps that haven't been met. So, what are our next steps?
hmm
Sometimes our next steps have to be offboarding, right? We have that, and that's a shame, right? Because we pour and invest into this person, and because we want them to succeed. It's an expense when someone
Absolutely.
leaves, right?
Sure.
But also, if you are having those discussions and you're communicating like I believe that leaders should, sometimes it goes the opposite way. It actually works out all for the better. And I've certainly had folks who've worked for me we've had those tough conversations and they've gone to excel to become leaders in the organization.
Mm-hmm.
So that's key as a leader is you're communicating with your folks.
Absolutely. So as we wind down, Kenneth, you have had 23 years at Crescent, several years in a prior organization. So you've had lots of time to try things out, self reflect, course correct for yourself, and really grow as a leader. So, taking all the knowledge that you have now, what advice would you give your younger self when it comes to assessing fit? particularly as you said that it is at the core that leader setting the stage, but not alone, right? It's a
Right.
two-way street. So what is some of that advice you'd give to your younger Kenneth Simpson?
So it's hindsight is 2020, right? But
Right.
as I look back, I definitely would tell myself, hey, when choosing a career, when choosing an organization to work for, see it as a partnership, right? Does that organization align with your values? I
Mm,
mean, you don't want to, you want to make sure that that organization kind of aligns with your values, your beliefs, that you are not um, short selling yourself, right?
sure.
Also, uh, you want to make sure that um, you know just relax and just not necessarily go with the flow, but um, make sure that you are communicating
Yeah.
your thoughts, your actions to others.
Yeah.
That's important.
Communication is absolutely the key and often the glue to
Right,
hold things
right.
together. It's core to any relationship,
You
right?
never want to assume anything, right?
Right. You
So
certainly don't. And so my last question for you, Kenneth,
okay.
for any leader that may be listening to us today, and they may perhaps be managing someone who might not be a right fit for their organization, what is one move, what piece of advice you would give them to take maybe this week or maybe in the next 30 days?
So I would tell them to, I would tell the leaders to communicate with their direct reports.
Okay.
And direct reports, I would say, take the advice of your leader because, they are there to help and guide you forward, right? So don't take anything personally. Always take it as an opportunity to do
Okay.
something different, do something outside of the box, right? Because ultimately your team leader, your direct your supervisor is invested in your professional development, and really kind of take that and run with it, right? Say that this person wants me to succeed. I certainly want my direct reports to do well and to grow beyond uh, even what I do for them, right? I want them to uh, just and take their wings and fly, right? So
I love that. Sounds like people are really privileged to have you as a leader. You're the type of leader that I think many people are looking for, that believes in their development, that want to be a partner with them, want to see them succeed.
oh, you're
So,
too kind.
oh no, you're great. So, Kenneth, again, thank you so much for joining us today on the Contract Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
And for our listeners out there, thank you for taking a little bit of time out of your day to listen to us again. You can find us, as always, on Instagram at the_contract_podcast. You can find our YouTube channel as well as go to thecontractpodcast.com. At our website, you can leave comments, share some of your stories, and perhaps we'll use that for a future episode of our podcast. So, again, thank you so much, and let's keep on learning and growing together. Take care.